Let's move on to Lamar Jackson, who is coming off a 2019 season for the record books. Raven star led the league in touchdown passes and had the most rushing yards ever in a season by a quarterback. Former Super Bowl MVP Doug Williams thinks the reigning MVP could be setting a new NFL trend as a dual threat, saying, quote, "Unfortunately, we're not going to get a Lamar Jackson every year, but the next Lamar Jackson that does come out, I don't think the coaches and the scouts are going to sit around and say what he can't do as a quarterback. They're going to take a page out of Baltimore and go back and get the tape and see what they did with Lamar Jackson and use that. He has helped a lot of guys, especially young black guys that are super talented athletically." Joined once again by LaVar Arrington. But Acho, coming to you. You think Lamar's style has opened the door for others like him?
I do not. But first things first, shout out to Lamar because he is changing the culture. He is a trendsetter, and he is going to have a lot of young athletic quarterbacks. And being real, a lot of young black quarterbacks believing and dreaming and actually accomplishing them playing the quarterback position. But let me get to the point. You said, has Lamar opened up the door for others like him? He hasn't, because he can't open up the door. The door is opened by general managers, by head coaches, by quarterback coaches. Now, Lamar will have more people standing in line to get inside that door, but he hasn't opened up that door. Because what it comes down to is people will always look for an excuse or a reason not to do something they don't want to do. And right now, there's still an excuse not to lead with a mobile quarterback. Lamar Jackson, he's leaps and bounds ahead of what RG3 accomplished. But RG3 accomplished a lot now that first couple years. Lamar Jackson, he's shown he's leaps and bounds ahead of what Michael Vick accomplished. But still, Lamar Jackson hasn't won a playoff game. General managers, they don't care if you're the NFL MVP. They don't care if you're on the cover of Madden. They want to win Super Bowls, something that Lamar Jackson hasn't yet gotten close to doing. So he hasn't yet opened up the door for others like him, but he does have a few more people now standing in line to get inside.
So we're going to argue over how open the door is.
The door is not open.
You're saying it's not open at all. I disagree with that, and I agree with Doug Williams in this respect. Bill Polian. Bill Polian has changed his tone about Lamar Jackson. And why Bill Polian is always brought up with Lamar Jackson is because of how great Bill Polian is and how wrong he was about this talent. So all of the gatekeepers out there at all levels, it's not just Bill Polian, former general manager and Hall of Fame general manager, talking about Lamar Jackson and those type of quarterbacks, the mobile quarterbacks, dual threats, 2.0s. It's the lower level coaches and evaluators who are now understanding, I could have been wrong about this type of talent. Let's talk about how this type of talent is even created. Because when I was growing up, a guy like me who turns out to be 6'4", 280, he wasn't even looking to be in the NFL. He wanted to be the boxing heavyweight champion of the world and lose a few pounds and try and do it. George Foreman and that type of scope. And then all of a sudden, the NFL started to have the money, have the resources, have the glamour. And that conditioned a guy like me to become something else. We all know from playing sandlot football, the greatest athlete on the sandlot is playing what position? Running back. And then that started to morph into, put him at receiver. Now you're going to look at receivers that are out there, talented, athletically gifted, and a coach is going to walk up to him because of a Lamar Jackson success and say, hey, bro, can you throw the ball as well? And that's how the door is opening.
You're wrong. You're wrong. Sorry, LaVar. I can't let this one go because my dog is wrong. Marcellus, 12 quarterbacks, sir, have won the Super Bowl in the 2012. Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, Eli Manning, Roethlisberger, Mahomes, Breeze, Rodgers, Flacco, Dilfer, Foles, and Brad Johnson. Of that list of those quarterbacks that have won the Super Bowl in the 2000s, one of them has run under a 4.7 40. That one being Russell Wilson. One of them. The objective of the game is to win the Super Bowl. It's not to have a ton of highlights. It's not to have a ton of wow splash plays. It's to win the Super Bowl. I'm a huge Lamar Jackson fan. Let's make no mistake about it. I'm a huge Lamar Jackson fan, but I can also spot the flaw in someone's logic. And the flaw in the logic is that general managers and head coaches, they want to win Super Bowls, and they will still lean towards the odds. And right now, until Lamar Jackson, which I hope he does, changes the trend, the odds still say you're more likely to win with the Brady, Manning, Roethlisberger type of quarterback than you are to win with the Lamar Jackson quarterback. Lamar Jackson will make more highlights. That's not what I'm saying. Lamar Jackson is a beast. I'm not arguing that. NFL MVP, not arguing that. But we can't sit here and act like what Lamar Jackson has done is going to change the mind of a bunch of general managers and coaches. That is optimistic and unrealistic thinking.
Do you want to refute? Do you want to rebuttal? I mean,
I'll go after you, LaVar, because I'm about to
He's
slice.
gathering his thoughts.
well, I'm going to have to say I agree with Doug Williams as well. It does continue to further the conversation. But I will say this, to Acho's point, we've seen talented, gifted, athletic, and let's be real, black quarterbacks that have gotten an opportunity to lead football teams in the National Football League. I think back immediately to Randall Cunningham. All right. And I know people will bring up Gilliam and a few others, but for me, I think of Randall Cunningham as the first trendsetter of being a mobile quarterback that's able to deliver the ball. And then you move into the future, you see guys like Mike Vick that come along. You see Cordell Stewart, who was before Mike Vick. You see guys like, now with Lamar Jackson. To me, the reason why this has not been the same conversation until now is the whole mindset of play calling. You guys have not mentioned the aspects of how it's a copycat league in so many ways. So in play calling, we're looking at an RPO style offense of generation because of the way the plays that developed when the Wildcat became a craze and gave running mobile quarterbacks this different idea of how to operate and maneuver down the field. Now these organizations are looking at it the same exact way. Now it has morphed and evolved into an RPO style of offense where you can run and pass. For those who didn't know, layman terms, run and pass option. So to me, looking at the conversation now with a Lamar Jackson, it is going to be more imperative now than ever with the athletic ability and skill that is developing with this new generation of football players to have a quarterback that is mobile enough to get away from pass rushers, that is athletic enough to put themselves in position to either make a play with their legs or make it with their arms. So I do think that the door is open, and I think the conversation is relevant and alive as we speak.
I don't want to get into a show that's being produced that all of a sudden we're so binary. I'm with Doug Williams, I'm not, because I think what's really happening here is it's a collage, it's a gumbo of what we're all saying, but one thing that's been left out is the consistency at the position. Now, why the consistency hasn't been at that position, we have to go, like you said, Randall Cunningham. That was the first guy I saw like that as well. But his best year was when he was 35, being real. And 1998, after we had seen Randall Cunningham, but he wasn't what Lamar Jackson was, but for only 1 year, maybe. Colin Kaepernick could go there, Michael Vick, and you can keep going there. But then when you start saying consistent body of work, that's the issue. And it was even addressed in this conversation about Lamar Jackson. What's he going to do now since he's the MVP? That's going to kick the door wide open. Instead of what I'm saying is that is changing minds already. Let's talk about what Acho is doing wrong and his time shifting. And he uses all of the Super Bowl winning quarterbacks of today and yesterday that have all benefited from this same implicit bias that Lamar Jackson is trying to change. So what happens is you're going to go with the odds. You're going to go with the actual winners. And you're not going to respect that there's no one else in that sample size because of the implicit bias that tells that guy who could throw to play receiver, that tells that guy who could throw to play running back, to play cornerback. So you won't even have the same numbers. When they talk about equality, you know what they say? It's not the opportunity to be exceptional. It's the opportunity to just be ordinary and properly rewarded. Chris Rock had a joke about this. He was like, man, why in the hell I got to be this famous comedian, entertainer, living next to a dentist, white dentist, doctor, entertainer, Chris Rock? And it's funny, that's what we're doing to Lamar Jackson right now. Lamar Jackson got to be so much just to even have an opportunity to swing the pendulum. But the thing about it is he just needs consistency. And he also needs others to not have barriers in front of them when the opportunity is presented. An athletic guy used to have to play running back when I was growing up or a receiver after I was out of high school. Now that guy should be able to play quarterback. If that changes, then Acho's resume of quarterbacks that won the Super Bowl would change.
I agree with you. This is the last thing I got to say on this matter. 2001, first overall pick of the first round, Michael Vick. Last time he had meaningful minutes, 2012-2013 season. 2001, first overall pick of the second round, Drew Brees. Favored to win the Super Bowl this year in 2020, 7 years after Mike Vick has had meaningful minutes. Lamar Jackson does have an entire pendulum to swing nearly single-handedly, but until it swings, I don't think the door is swinging open.